The lecture hall door slammed shut, and my heart stopped. I was lady again, and Director Elias Hart was already at the podium. His voice steady, commanding the room like he owned every molecule of air. I, Jamie Carter, an alpha posing as an omega student, had just one goal: get close to him, no matter the cost. Slipping into the back row, I adjusted my fake scent suppressor, praying it held. The chemical tang of omega pheromones clung to my skin, a lie I'd perfected over weeks. Elias, the beta director of Westbridge University's arts department, was the key to my Futuria. Recommendation from him could land me a scholarship to the country's top theater program. But there was a problem. I wasn't just here for his signature. I was falling for him, hard, and every glance he threw my way made it harder to keep my secret. The room buzzed with students, but Elias's presence drowned them out. Mid-30s, sharp jawline, eyes like a storm over the Pacifiche, was magnetic. His lectures on theater history weren't just lessons. They were performances, each word pulling you into his orbit. I'd spent weeks studying him, not just his syllabus. The way he tugged at his tie when he was frustrated, the half smile he gave when a student nailed a point, it was all burned into my brain. But today, I was reckless. I raised my hand. "Mr. Carter," Elias called, his voice smooth as whiskey. "You have a question?" My mouth went dry. Yeah. About Ibsen's use of subtext. Doesn't it mirror how people hide their true selves in society? My voice cracked, and I cursed internally. "Smooth, Jamie." Elias's eyes narrowed, a flicker of curiosity crossing his face. "Interesting. Care to elaborate?" I fumbled, my pulse racing. "Like, people wear masks to fit in, right? They pretend to be something they're not to get what they want." My words hung in the air, too raw, too close to my own truth. A few students turned, sensing the tension. Elias tilted his head, studying me like I was a script he couldn't quite decipher. "Bold take," he said finally, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "See me after class, Jamie. Let's discuss further." My stomach flipped. After class. Alone with him. This was either my big break or the moment my whole plan unraveled. I'd enrolled at Westbridge under a fake identity, hacking the system to register as an Omega student. Alphas like me were rare in the arts, often dismissed as too aggressive for this sensitive world of theater. Omegas, though, were seen as intuitive, empathetic, perfect for the stage. So I'd faked it, banking on Elias's reputation for mentoring underdogs. But now, sitting under his gaze, I felt like a fraud on a tightrope. The lecture ended, and students filed out. I lingered, my heart hammering as Elias gathered his notes. "You stayed," he said, not looking up. "Good. Your comment about masks, it felt personal." I swallowed. "Just an observation, Director Hart." "Call me Elias," he said, finally meeting my eyes. "And don't bullshit me, Jamie. You're not just here for Ibsen, are you?" I froze. Did he know? No, he couldn't. My scent suppressor was top grade, my paperwork airtight. But the way he looked at me like he could see through my skin made my knees weak. "I'm just a student trying to learn." I lied, my voice barely steady. He stepped closer, his cologne mixing with the faint chemical edge of my suppressor. "You're not like the others," he said softly. "There's something different about you." My breath hitched. Was he flirting? Or was he onto me? Either way, I was in too deep to back out now. "Maybe I'm just a good actor," I said, forcing a grin. Elias chuckled, low and warm. "We'll see about that. Meet me in my office tomorrow, 3 p.m. Bring your thoughts on Ibsen and no more dodging." As he walked away, I exhaled, my hands shaking. Tomorrow, I'd either win his trust or lose everything. The line between my lie and my feelings was blurring, and I wasn't sure which scared me more. The next day, I stood outside Elias's office, my palms sweaty. The campus was alive with students rushing to classes, but I barely noticed. My plan was simple: charm him, get the recommendation, and keep my alpha status hidden. But every time I thought of him, my chest tightened, not just for the scholarship, but for him. I knocked, and his voice called, "Come in." His office was a mess of books, scripts, and coffee mugs, but it felt like him, warm, chaotic, alive. Elias leaned back in his chair, glasses perched on his nose. "Jamie," he said, gesturing to his seat. "Let's talk masks." I sat, my rehearsed lines dissolving under his gaze. "I think people hide who they are because they're afraid of being judged," I started. "Like, society expects certain roles, and if you don't fit, you're screwed." He nodded, leaning forward. "And you? What role are you playing?" My heart stuttered. "Just a student," I said, too quickly. He raised an eyebrow. "You're a terrible liar. You know that." Before I could respond, he stood and crossed to a bookshelf, pulling out a worn copy of A Doll's House. "Ibsen's characters hide to survive," he said. "But the truth always comes out. Always." I forced a laugh. "You're making this sound like a confession." "Maybe it is," he said, his eyes locking onto mine. "You're hiding something, Jamie, and I'm going to figure it out." The air between us crackled. I wanted to tell him everything, my real status, my feelings, the way his voice made my skin hum. But I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I leaned closer, testing the waters. "Maybe I'm just trying to impress you," I said, my voice low. His lips twitched, but he didn't pull away. "Careful, Carter. Flirting with the director could get you in trouble." My pulse raced. "Worth the risk," I shot back, holding his gaze. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at it, frowning. "We'll continue this," he said, his tone unreadable. "Tomorrow. Same time." As I left, my mind spun. I was playing a dangerous game, and the stakes were higher than ever. Elias Hart wasn't just a stepping stone to my dream, she was becoming the dream itself. And that terrified me. The campus quad was a riot of color, leaves crunching underfoot as I headed to Elias's office again. My fake Omega scent was starting to feel like a second skin, but every step toward him made it harder to keep up the act. Last night, I'd barely slept, replaying his words, "I'm going to figure it out." What did he know? Was it my scent, my story, or the way I couldn't stop staring at him? I'd spent years hiding my alpha nature, blending into spaces that didn't want me. Alphas were athletes, CEOs, not theater kids with dreams too big for their small-town roots. But Elias, he saw something in me, and it was unraveling my carefully built walls. Inside his office, he was grading papers, his sleeves rolled up, exposing forearms that made my mouth dry. "You're early," he said, glancing up with that half-smile that could undo me. "Couldn't wait," I said, aiming for casual but landing somewhere near desperate. I dropped into the chair across from him, clutching my notebook like a shield. He pushed his glasses up, studying me. "Yesterday, you said flirting was worth the risk. Care to explain?" My cheeks burned. "Just trying to keep things interesting." "Interesting," he repeated, leaning back. "You're bold, Jamie. Most students don't talk to me like that." "Maybe most students don't see you the way I do," I said before I could stop myself. The words hung there, raw and reckless. His eyes widened, just for a second, before he masked it with a chuckle. "Your trouble," he said, but there was no bite in it. He stood, pacing to the window. "Tell me something real, Jamie. No games. Why are you here?" I froze. The truth me alpha status. The scholarship. My feelings was a landmine. Instead, I deflected. "I want to be on stage. Not just acting, but creating. Telling stories that matter. You get that, don't you?" He turned, his gaze piercing. "I do. But stories need truth. And you're not giving me yours." My heart pounded. He was too close to the edge of my secret, and I wasn't ready to jump. "What about you?" I countered. "What's your truth, Elias? Why do you stay here, teaching kids like me?" He hesitated, something raw flickering in his eyes. "I used to act," he said finally. "Broadway, small roles. But I got tired of the masks. Teaching lets me be real, or at least try to." The vulnerability in his voice hit me like a punch. I wanted to reach for him, to tell him I was trying to be real too. But the lie of my Omega status choked me. Instead, I stood, closing the distance between us. "You're good at it," I said softly. "Making people feel seen." His breath caught, and for a moment, I thought he'd close the gap. But he stepped back, clearing his throat. "We're here to talk Ibsen. Remember?" "Right," I said, forcing a smile. We dove into a doll's house, but the subtext of our conversation masks. Truth. Desire hung heavy. Every time our eyes met, the room felt smaller. By the end of the hour, he handed me a script. "Auditions for the spring play are next week," he said. "You should try out. Show me what you've got." My heart leapt. This was a chance to prove myself, to get his recommendation. But as I took the script, our fingers brushed, and the electric jolt nearly undid me. "Thanks," I managed, my voice hoarse. "Don't thank me yet," he said, his tone teasing but his eyes serious. "You've got to earn it." That night, I sat in my dorm, the script open but unread. My roommate, Sam, a nosy Omega with a knack for gossip, sprawled on his bed. "You're obsessed with heart," he said, tossing a stress ball. "Everyone's noticed." "I'm not obsessed," I snapped, but my face betrayed me. "Sure," Sam grinned. "Just don't get caught sniffing around a beta director. People talk." "Let them," I said, but his words gnawed at me. If Sam suspected something, others might too. My fake identity was a house of cards, and Elias was the wind threatening to topple it. The next day, I threw myself into preparing for the audition. The play was Angels in America, a gut punch of a story about love, identity, and survival. I chose a monologue that felt too close to homie, a character grappling with who they are in a world that demands conformity. Practicing in the empty theater, I let myself go, pouring my fear, my longing, into every word. When I finished, applause broke the silence. I spun around, heart racing, to find Elias leaning against a seat. "That was raw," he said, his voice low. "Where does that come from, Jamie?" I shrugged, my throat tight. "Just acting." He stepped closer, his eyes searching mine. "No. That was you. The real you." My breath hitched. He was too close, too perceptive. I wanted to tell him everything, how I'd lied to get here, how I couldn't stop thinking about him. But before I could speak, a janitor's cart rattled in the hall, breaking the moment. "Auditions tomorrow," Elias said, stepping back. "Don't hold back like that again." As he left, I realized I was in deeper than ever. The audition wasn't just about the play, it was about proving I could be more than a lie. But with every step closer to Elias, the truth felt heavier, and I wasn't sure how much longer I could carry it. Audition day hit like a freight train. The theater was packed with nervous energy, students pacing, muttering lines under their breath. I stood backstage, my fake omega scent clinging to me like a guilty conscience. The script in my hands felt like a grenade, one wrong move, and everything I'd built could explode. Elias was in the front row, clipboard in hand, his face unreadable. Every time I caught his eye, my stomach twisted. I wasn't just auditioning for the play. I was auditioning for him, for his trust, his approval, and maybe something more. When my name was called, I stepped onto the stage, the spotlight blinding. I launched into the monologue, letting the words carry my truth, me fear of being exposed, my longing to be seen. The theater faded, and it was just me, the words, and Elias's gaze burning into me. When I finished, the silence was deafening. Then applause erupted. Elias didn't clap. He just watched, his expression a mix of awe and something I couldn't place. Backstage, my friend Mia, a beta with a sharp tongue, grabbed my arm. Holy shit. Jamie. You killed it. Hart looked like he forgot how to blink. I forced a laugh, but my nerves were frayed. Think I got a shot. With that performance. You're a lock, she said. But watch yourself. People are starting to talk about you and Hart. My blood ran cold. Talk how? She shrugged. Just vibes. You're always in his office. Be careful. Okay. Her words echoed Sam's warning, and I felt the walls closing in. If rumors were spreading, my fake identity was at risk. Omegas didn't get this kind of scrutiny, but an alpha posing as one. That was a scandal waiting to happen. After the auditions, Elias called me over. Walk with me, he said, his tone neutral. We headed outside, the campus quiet under a starry sky. Your monologue, he started. It was fearless. But it's more than talent, isn't it? There's a story behind it. I shoved my hands in my pockets, avoiding his eyes, just trying to do the role justice. He stopped, turning to face me. Jamie, I've been doing this long enough to know when someone's holding back. What's your story? My heart pounded. I wanted to tell him I am an alpha. I lied to get here. I'm falling for you, but the word stuck. Instead, I deflected. Why do you care so much? He stepped closer, his voice low. Because I see you. Not just the student, but the person. And I want to know who that is. The air between us crackled, and I couldn't stop myself. I leaned in, just a fraction, and his breath hitched. For a second, I thought he'd meet me halfway. But he pulled back, his jaw tight. We can't, he said, almost to himself. Not like this. My face burned with rejection, but I nodded. Right. Professional. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's not just that. You're hiding something, and until you're honest, this, he gestured between us, can't happen. I watched him walk away, my chest aching. He was right. My lie was a wall between us, and every moment I spent with him made it harder to keep up. But telling the truth meant risking everything, the scholarship, my place here, and whatever was growing between us. The cast list went up the next day, and my name was on it, Prior Walter, a lead role. Elation mixed with dread as I realized I'd be working even closer with Elias. Rehearsals started immediately, and the theater became my world. Elias was everywhere directing, giving notes, his presence pulling me like gravity. But he kept his distance, his professionalism a cold barrier after that night. One evening, after a grueling rehearsal, I stayed late to run lines. The theater was empty, the stage lit only by a single ghost light. I was halfway through a scene when Elias appeared, his footsteps echoing. "You're still here," he said, his voice soft. "Couldn't sleep," I admitted. "This role, it's heavy." He nodded, sitting on the edge of the stage. "Pryor's a fighter. He's honest, even when it hurts. You relate to that, don't you?" I swallowed, my throat tight. "Yeah, more than you know." He looked at me, his eyes searching. "Then tell me, Jamie, what's weighing you down?" I wanted to spill everything, but fear held me back. Instead, I moved closer, sitting beside him. What if the truth changes everything? He didn't flinch. It always does. But sometimes that's the point. Our shoulders brushed, and the air hummed with tension. I could feel his warmth, smell his cologne, and it took everything not to lean in. "Elias," I whispered, "what if I'm not who you think I am?" He turned, his face inches from mine. "Then show me who you are." My heart roared, but before I could speak, my phone buzzed a text from Sam. "Someone's asking about your records. Be careful." Panic surged. Someone was digging, and my lie was on borrowed time. "I have to go," I said, standing abruptly. Elias frowned, but didn't stop me. As I left, I felt his eyes on me, and I knew I couldn't keep running forever. The truth was coming, whether I was ready or not. The text from Sam haunted me all night. Someone was sniffing around my records, and every creak in my dorm felt like a warning. By morning, I was a wreck, my fake omega scent barely masking the sweat of my fear. I had to keep it together. Rehearsals were intensifying, and Elias was watching me closer than ever. In the theater, the cast buzzed with energy, but I felt like a ghost. Elias ran us through a scene where Pryor confronts his lover's betrayal, and I poured every ounce of my guilt into the lines. When I finished, the room was silent, and Elias's gaze pinned me in place. "That was devastating," he said, his voice low. "You're carrying something heavy, Jamie. It's in every word." I shrugged, avoiding his eyes. "Just acting." He didn't buy it, but he let it go, calling the next scene. As we broke for lunch, Mia pulled me aside. "You okay? You look like you're about to bolt." "I'm fine," I lied, but her frown said she wasn't convinced. "Just stressed." "About the play? Or heart?" she asked, her voice sharp. I flinched. "What's that supposed to mean?" She sighed. "People are talking. Jamie. You and Elias. It's obvious something's going on. And now there's some admin poking into your file. Said something about discrepancies." My stomach dropped. Discrepancies. My forged records weren't perfect, but I'd thought they'd hold up. If someone was digging, my alpha status could be exposed any day. "Who's asking?" I pressed. Mia shrugged. "Some guy from admissions. I overheard him in the office." "Just watch your back. Okay." I nodded, my mind racing. I needed to talk to Elias, to come clean before someone else did it for me. But the thought of losing him, his respect, his warmth made my chest ache. I was falling for him, and every lie I'd told was a brick in the wall between us. That afternoon, I found him in his office, grading scripts. "Jamie," he said, looking up with a tired smile. "You're making a habit of this." I closed the door, my hand shaking. "We need to talk." He leaned back, his eyes narrowing. "About?" I took a breath, the words clawing at my throat. "I haven't been honest with you. About who I am." He went still, his expression unreadable. "Go on." But before I could speak, a knock interrupted. It was Dr. Larson, the admissions head, a stern beta with a clipboard. "Director Hart," she said, her eyes flicking to me. "A word about Mr. Carter's enrollment." My blood ran cold. Elias frowned, standing. "What about it?" Larson's gaze was icy. "There's a question about his classification. We need to verify his Omega status." The room spun. Elias looked at me, confusion turning to suspicion. "Jamie," he said, his voice low. "What's she talking about?" I opened my mouth, but no words came. Larson stepped forward, holding out a form. "We've had reports of discrepancies. If you're not an Omega, Mr. Carter, there are serious consequences." Elias's face hardened. "Is this true?" he asked, his voice cutting through me. I stammered, my heart pounding. "I can explain." But he shook his head, his eyes cold. "Not now. Get out." I stumbled out, my world collapsing. Larson's words echoed serious consequences, but losing Elias's trust hurt more than any punishment. I'd gambled everything on my lie, and now I was paying the price. That night, I holed up in my dorm, ignoring Sam's questions. My phone buzzed with a message from Elias. "Meet me at the theater. Midnight. We're settling this." My heart leapt, but dread followed. Was he giving me a chance? Or was this the end? The theater was dark, the ghost light casting shadows. Elias stood center stage, his arms crossed. "Talk," he said, his voice like steel. I took a breath, the truth spilling out. "I'm not an Omega. I'm an Alpha. I faked my status to get into the program, to get close to you, to get your recommendation. But it's more than that now. I care about you, Elias. More than I should." His face didn't soften. "You lied to me. To everyone. Do you know what that means?" "I know," I said, my voice breaking. "I thought I could pull it off. But then I met you, and it stopped being about the scholarship. It's about you." He stepped closer, his eyes blazing. "You think you can just say that and fix this? You put me in an impossible position." "I'm sorry," I whispered, tears burning my eyes. "I never meant to hurt you." For a moment, he just looked at me, the silence deafening. Then he sighed, his shoulders slumping. "I need time. Jamie. It's a lot." I nodded, my throat tight. "I'll go." As I turned to leave, he grabbed my arm. "Don't," he said, his voice raw. "Not yet." My heart stopped. His hand lingered, warm against my skin, and for a second, I thought he'd pull me closer. But he let go, stepping back. "We'll talk tomorrow," he said. But no more lies. I left, the weight of my confession lifting but leaving a new fear in its place. I told the truth, but at what cost? Elias was slipping away, and I wasn't sure I could get him back. The campus felt like a minefield the next day. Every glance from a classmate, every whisper, felt like a spotlight on my secret. I'd told Elias the truth, but the fallout was just beginning. My fake records were under scrutiny, and if the administration confirmed I was an alpha, I'd be expelled or worse. I skipped rehearsal, unable to face Elias or the cast. Instead, I hid in the library, buried in a corner with my thoughts. My phone buzzed me up, texting, "Where are you?" Hart's asking. I ignored it. I couldn't handle his questions, not when I was still reeling from last night. By evening, I couldn't avoid it anymore. I headed to the theater, my heart in my throat. The cast was gone, but Elias was there, adjusting lights. He looked up, his face unreadable. You didn't show? He said. I couldn't. I admitted, my voice low. I'm sorry. He sighed, setting down a wrench. Jamie, what you told me last night, it changes everything. You get that, right? I nodded, my chest tight. I know. I'll leave the play if you want. I'll leave Westbridge. He frowned, stepping closer. That's not what I want. But you've put me in a hell of a spot. If the administration finds out, I could lose my job for not reporting you. My stomach twisted. I didn't think about that. I was just trying to survive. His eyes softened. Just a fraction. I get it. I've seen alphas struggle in this world. But you didn't just lie to the school. You lied to me. I know, I said, my voice breaking. And I hate it. But I couldn't tell you. Not when I stopped. The words too heavy. When you what? He pressed, his voice low. I met his eyes, my heart racing. When I started falling for you. The silence was electric. Elias's jaw tightened, but he didn't look away. You can't say that, he said, his voice rough. Not now. Why not? I stepped closer. Reckless. It's the truth. The one thing I haven't lied about. He shook his head, but his eyes betrayed him there was something there. Something real. Jamie, I'm your director. And you're a student. This is already a mess. It doesn't have to be, I said, my voice desperate. I'll fix this. I'll come clean to the administration. Take the consequences. Just don't shut me out. He looked at me, torn. I don't know if I can trust you again. Those words cut deeper than anything. I nodded, stepping back. I'll prove it. Whatever it takes. The next day, I went to the admissions office, ready to confess. Dr. Larson was there, her face like stone. Mr. Carter, she said, we've confirmed your records are fraudulent. Care to explain? I took a breath, the truth spilling out. I'm an alpha. I faked my status to enroll. I'm sorry. Her eyes narrowed. This is a serious violation. You'll be suspended, pending a hearing. And your scholarship is revoked. I nodded, the weight of it crushing but not unexpected. I understand. As I left her office, I felt lighter, despite everything. The lie was gone, but so was my future at Westbridge. I headed to the theater, needing to see Elias one last time. He was alone, reading a script. Jamie, he said, standing. What happened? I confessed. I said, I'm suspended. Probably expelled. His face fell. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, I did. I said. You were right. The truth matters. And I couldn't keep lying to you. He stepped closer, his voice soft. You're an idiot. I laughed, bitter. Yeah, well, I'm your idiot. For a moment, we just stood there, the air heavy with everything unsaid. Then he sighed, pulling me into a hug. It wasn't romantic, it was raw, real, a lifeline. We'll figure this out, he whispered. Together. I clung to him, hope flickering. Maybe I'd lost Westbridge, but I hadn't lost him. Not yet. The suspension hit hard. My dorm felt like a cage. Every creak a reminder of the life I'd gambled away. I was barred from campus, but Elias's word swale figure this out kept me from spiraling. He'd promised to help, but I didn't know what that meant, or if it was even possible. I met him at a coffee shop off campus, a neutral ground where no one would recognize us. He looked exhausted, his usual polish frayed. You okay? he asked, sliding me a coffee. No, I admitted. But I'm trying to be. He nodded, his eyes searching mine. I talked to Larson. She's pushing for expulsion, but I convinced her to let you plead your case at the hearing next week. My heart sank. What's the point? They've got me dead to rights. The point, he said, leaning forward, is you're not just an alpha who lied. You're a damn good actor. And you've got something to say? I've seen it. The board needs to see it too. His belief in me was a lifeline, but it came with a sting. Why are you doing this? I asked. I lied to you. You should hate me. He sighed, rubbing his temples. I tried. But I can't. You're under my skin. Jamie. My breath caught. Elias. I don't. He cut me off, his voice low. Not yet. We fix this first. Then we figure out. Us. Us. The word hung between us, fragile and electric. I nodded, clinging to it like a promise. The week before the hearing was torture. I stayed with Sam, who'd grudgingly let me crash on his couch. You're an idiot, he said, tossing me a blanket. But you've got balls. I'll give you that. I spent my days prepping for the hearing, writing a statement that laid bare my reasons, not just the scholarship, but the pressure to hide who I was, the fear of being an alpha in a world that boxed me in. Elias helped, meeting me in secret to refine my words. Every brush of his hand, every quiet laugh, made me want to fight harder, not just for Westbridge, but for him. The night before the hearing, we met at the park, the city lights glinting in the distance. You ready? He asked, his voice soft. No, I said, forcing a smile. But I'm doing it anyway. He looked at me, his eyes warm. That's why I believe in you. You don't give up. I wanted to kiss him. To hell with the consequences. But I held back. If I get through this, I said, will you give us a chance? He hesitated, then nodded. If you're honest. No more masks. The hearing was a blur of stern faces and cold questions. I stood before the board, my heart pounding, and told my story. I didn't hold back my alpha status, my lie, my dreams, my feelings for Elias. I saw Larson's eyes narrow when I mentioned him, but I didn't care. This was my truth, and I was done hiding. When I finished, the room was silent. Elias, sitting in the back, gave me a small nod, his face unreadable. The board deliberated for an hour, and when they called me back, Larson spoke. Mr. Carter, your actions were unacceptable, but your talent and sincerity have been noted. You're reinstated, on probation. One misstep, and you're out. Relief flooded me, but it was tempered by fear. I kept my place, but at what cost to Elias? As I left the room, he was waiting, his expression guarded. You did it, he said. Thanks to you, I replied, my voice thick. He shook his head. No, that was all you. We stood there, the weight of everything unsaid between us. I wanted to reach for him, but Larson's voice cut through. Director Hart, a word. He gave me a look, part apology, part promise, and followed her. I watched him go, my heart in my throat. I'd won one battle, but the war for us was far from over. Rehearsals resumed, but the air was different. The cast knew about my suspension, my alpha status, and the rumors about Elias and me. Whispers followed me, but I didn't care. I was back, and I had a role to play on stage and in my life. Elias was distant, his professionalism a wall I couldn't breach. He gave notes, directed scenes, but avoided being alone with me. It hurt, but I understood. Larson's warning hung over us. and any misstep could cost him his job. One night, after a late rehearsal, I found him alone in the theater, staring at the stage. "Elias," I said, my voice echoing. "We need to talk." He turned, his face tired. "Jamie, we can't keep doing this." "Doing what?" I asked, stepping closer, pretending there's nothing between us. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "There's everything between us. That's the problem." "Then let's face it," I said, my voice raw. "I'm in love with you, Elias. I've been in love with you since the first day I saw you." His eyes widened, and for a moment, he looked like he might bolt. But then he stepped forward, closing the distance. "You're going to ruin me," he whispered, but his hand cupped my face, his thumb brushing my cheek. I leaned into his touch, my heart racing. "Then let me." He kissed me, soft at first, then desperate, like he'd been holding back for years. The world fell away, and it was just us, two people who'd found each other in a sea of lies and expectations. When we pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine, his breath ragged. "This is a bad idea," he said, but he didn't let go. "I don't care," I said, grinning. "I'm done playing it safe." The next weeks were a whirlwind. We kept our relationship secret, stealing moments in empty classrooms, late-night walks, anywhere we could be alone. But the secrecy weighed on me. I wanted the world to know, but Elias was cautious, his job and reputation on the line. Meanwhile, the play was coming together, and my performance as Prior grew stronger with every rehearsal. Elias pushed me, not as a lover, but as a director, demanding my best. It was exhilarating, but the line between our roles blurred, and I could feel him pulling back, torn between his feelings and his duty. One night, Mia cornered me. "You and Hart," she said, her voice low. "It's not just rumors anymore, is it?" I froze. "What do you mean?" "I saw you," she said, "outside the theater. Be careful, Jamie. If Larson finds out, you're both done." Fear gripped me, but I nodded. "I know. We're trying." She sighed. "Just don't lose yourself in this. You're too good for that." Her words stuck with me. I was fighting for Elias, but I was also fighting for me for the right to be an alpha, to be an actor, to be loved without hiding. The play's opening was a week away, and I knew it was my chance to prove it all. Opening night arrived, and the theater was electric. The audience buzzed, the lights hummed, and I stood backstage, my heart pounding. This was me chance to show the world who I was, alpha and all. Elias was in the wings, his eyes on me, a silent promise in his gaze. The curtain rose, and I stepped into Prior's skin, letting his pain, his fight, his love pour through me. The audience vanished, and it was just me and the story, raw and real. Every line felt like a confession, every movement a step toward freedom. When the final scene ended, the applause was thunderous, and I felt alive in a way I never had. Backstage, Elias pulled me aside, his face alight. "You were incredible," he said, his voice thick. "I've never seen anything like it." I grinned, adrenaline surging. "Told you I'd earn it." He laughed, but it was cut short by Larson's voice. "Director Hart," she called, her tone sharp. "Mr. Carter." A word. My stomach dropped. We followed her to an empty office, where she faced us, her eyes like daggers. "I've heard rumors," she said. "About you too. Is there anything I should know?" Elias went pale, but I stepped forward. "It's true," I said, my voice steady. "We're together. And I'm not hiding anymore, not my status. Not my feelings. Larson's jaw tightened. This is highly inappropriate. Director Hart, you're suspended. Pending review. Elias nodded, his face calm. I understand. I grabbed his hand, defiant. I'm not sorry, I said. He's worth it. Larson dismissed us, and we walked out, hand in hand. The campus quiet around us. What now? I asked, fear creeping in. He squeezed my hand. We fight. For us. For your future. You're not alone anymore. Months later, Elias was reinstated after a review. His reputation intact, but his caution sharper. I stayed at Westbridge, on probation. My scholarship gone, but my passion stronger than ever. We were careful, but we were together, building something real in the wreckage of my lies. The play became a campus legend, and my performance opened doors smaller theaters, local productions, a chance to keep telling stories. But the real victory was Elias. We'd found each other in a world that demanded masks, and we'd chosen truth, no matter the cost. Standing on a new stage. Months later, I looked out at the audience and saw him, his smile grounding me. I was an alpha, an actor, a lover, and for the first time, I was enough. The curtain rose, and I stepped forward, ready to live my truth, with him by my side.